The sun rose over the small town of Willow Creek, painting the sky in soft orange and pink hues. Birds chirped quietly, and the streets were calm, except for a few early risers getting ready for a busy Saturday. But for one house at the end of Maple Street, the day was anything but calm. Inside, a family bustled with excitement and tension. Today was the wedding day of Emily Turner, and her father, Robert Turner, was more nervous than anyone else thought. Robert had always been a protective father. Ever since Emily was a little girl, he had dreamed of the day she would walk down the aisle. He imagined the white dress, the smiles, and the tears of joy. But he never imagined that a secret from his past would come back to haunt him on the very day he was supposed to be happiest. Emily, in her bedroom, was getting ready. She wore a simple yet elegant wedding dress, the kind that glowed softly in the morning light. Her hands trembled slightly as her mother, Linda, helped her with the final touches. Emily was calm on the outside, but inside, her mind raced. She loved her fiancé, David, a kind and honest man she had met at college. They had been together for 4 years, and everyone expected this wedding to be perfect. Robert sat in the living room, staring at the clock. Every minute that passed made his stomach twist in knots. He remembered the day he had first met David's family. They seemed normal, polite, and welcoming, but Robert had noticed something strange. A photograph on the wall had caught his attention, a family portrait where a young man looked exactly like someone from Robert's past. He had dismissed it at the time, telling himself it was a coincidence. As the time for the ceremony approached, friends and family began arriving. The church was decorated beautifully with white roses and soft golden lights. Emily's bridesmaids whispered excitedly as they adjusted their dresses, laughing at small jokes to ease the tension. Outside, the guests gathered, chatting about the weather, the decorations, and how lovely everything looked. Everyone was in high spirits, completely unaware of the storm brewing in Robert's mind. Then, just as the organ music began, Robert received a phone call that froze him in place. He stepped aside, answering in a low, tense voice. It was David's father, Robert. "I think we need to talk before the ceremony starts," the voice said, calm but urgent. "What is it?" Robert asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "It's about David? And something from your past. You need to know before Emily walks down the aisle." Robert's heart raced. His mind went back 25 years. There had been a brief time in his life when he had unknowingly made a mistake, trusting someone he shouldn't have. Could it be related? He swallowed hard and nodded, even though the caller couldn't see him. "I'll meet you outside," he said, ending the call quickly. He walked toward the side entrance of the church, careful not to draw attention. David's father was waiting, looking worried. He handed Robert a small envelope. "You need to see this," he said softly. Inside the envelope was a series of old documents and photographs. Robert's eyes widened as he flipped through them. One photograph showed a young man who looked exactly like David, standing next to someone Robert recognized immediately, an old friend from his past. Then came the documents, birth certificates, hospital records, and letters. The truth hit Robert like a lightning bolt. David was not just his daughter's fiancé, he was his long-lost nephew. Years ago, Robert's brother had disappeared, leaving behind a family he had never known. David was his brother's son, adopted by another family after a series of complicated events. Robert's hand shook. He had spent years imagining Emily's wedding, never expecting something like this. He felt a cold panic rise in his chest. How could this happen? What should he do now? The ceremony was about to start, and everyone was waiting for Emily to walk down the aisle. He stepped outside the church doors, taking a deep breath to calm himself. David's father saw him and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "It's not your fault," he said. "You didn't know." But you have to decide what to do now. Emily deserves to know the truth." Robert nodded slowly. He thought about Emily, his little girl, all grown up and glowing in her dress. She had trusted him with her life, and now he had to protect her from a devastating truth, while also respecting her happiness. Inside, Emily was starting to walk toward the aisle. The music swelled, and everyone turned their eyes to see her. Guests whispered to each other, commenting on how beautiful she looked. She took each step gracefully, holding her bouquet tightly, unaware of the drama unfolding outside. Robert stepped aside, taking a deep breath. He couldn't stop her. She deserved this day, and she had worked so hard for it. But he knew he had to act before the vows were exchanged. He whispered to David's father, "I need to speak to Emily." Now, they both walked toward the side of the church where Emily could hear them but wouldn't be alarmed. Robert called her gently. "Emily, can you come here for a moment?" Emily paused, looking puzzled, but obediently followed. She stepped out of the main aisle, and Robert took her hands in his. "Sweetheart, there's something important I need to tell you," he said, his voice shaking slightly. Emily looked into her father's eyes, sensing the gravity of the moment. "What is it, Dad?" she asked softly. Robert swallowed and looked at David's father. They both nodded, understanding that the truth had to be shared carefully. "Emily, David, he's related to our family in a way we didn't know. He's your cousin," Robert said, the words heavy in the air. Emily's eyes widened. "What? That can't be." She looked at David, standing nervously a few steps away, waiting. "Are you serious?" David stepped forward, his expression calm but worried. "It's true," he said softly. "I just found out myself. I had no idea. I love you, Emily, and I never would have kept this from you if I had known." For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Emily's mind raced, trying to process everything she had just heard. The music continued softly in the background, the guests still unaware of the unfolding drama. She felt her heart pound, her knees weak. Robert held her hand tightly. "I know this is a shock. I never imagined this would happen on your wedding day. But we have to think carefully about what to do next. Your happiness is most important." Emily's eyes filled with tears, not from sadness, but from the weight of the truth. She looked at David, who nodded reassuringly. "We can figure this out together," he said gently. After a long pause, Emily took a deep breath. I need a moment," she said. She stepped aside, closing her eyes, and allowed herself to feel the full impact of the revelation. She thought about her love for David, her trust in her father, and the years of memories that had led to this moment. Robert and David's father stayed close, giving her the space she needed. The tension in the air was thick, but a strange calm settled over the group. They all understood that the wedding day had changed forever, but that didn't mean it had to end in disaster. Emily opened her eyes, determination shining through the shock. "I love David," she said firmly, "and nothing will change that. But we need to take a step back, talk to our families, and make sure we handle this properly." Robert nodded, relief washing over him. His daughter was strong, wiser than he had imagined. She could face this challenge with courage. "I'm proud of you," he said softly. As the ceremony continued in the church, Emily and David stepped aside with their parents. They spoke quietly, discussing their options, their future, and how they could move forward with honesty and care. Outside, the sun shone brighter, as if signaling hope and new beginnings. Even in the most unexpected circumstances, the wedding day had started with dreams of joy and celebration, but it had transformed into a day of truth, courage, and family unity. Emily realized that life could throw the most shocking surprises at any moment. But with love, understanding, and communication, even the most complicated situations could be faced head-on. And so, on that unforgettable morning in Willow Creek, A family discovered that the most important thing wasn't perfection or even tradition. It was love, trust, and the willingness to face the truth together, no matter how shocking it might be. After taking a few deep breaths, Emily, David, and their parents stepped into a quiet room beside the church. The soft sunlight streamed through the windows, warming the space and softening the tension in the air. Emily still felt her heart racing, but now she was focused. She needed to think clearly and make decisions that would honor both her love for David and the honesty of their families. David sat beside her, taking her hand gently. "We've been through so much together," he said quietly. "This doesn't change that. It's a surprise, yes, but we can handle it. We just need to be careful and honest with everyone else." Emily nodded. "I know, I just never imagined anything like this could happen on the day I was supposed to marry the man I love. It's so shocking. But you're right. We have to think about what's best for everyone." Robert, her father, sat across from them, his face calm now but still lined with worry. "Emily, I promise you, I will support whatever decision you make. Today is your day. You deserve happiness, and nothing should take that away. But we must also respect the truth and handle it carefully with our families." David's father, Mr. Johnson, joined the conversation. "We've all been surprised. But hiding this fact or ignoring it would only cause problems later. We should explain to both families gently and make sure everyone understands that no harm was intended. This is about love, care, and respect." Emily and David took a moment to breathe, realizing that while the shock of the revelation was heavy, it didn't have to ruin everything. They could face it together, and they would find a solution that preserved their love and their family bonds. Meanwhile, in the main hall, guests were beginning to notice that something was unusual. The music had paused, and a few whispers spread across the crowd. Emily's bridesmaids and friends exchanged curious glances, wondering why the bride had disappeared from the aisle. But they trusted that Emily and her family were simply handling something important. Emily turned to David. "I think we should talk to both families now. If we handle this openly, with honesty and care, they might understand." David nodded. "Agreed. Let's be brave. We've faced challenges before, and this is just another one." Together, they walked back into the main hall, holding hands, with both fathers walking closely beside them. Guests turned to look, and there was a soft murmur of curiosity. Emily stepped forward, her voice clear but gentle. "Everyone," she began, "I need to share something important with you before the ceremony continues. Please listen carefully." The room quieted immediately. Everyone's attention turned to the bride and her family. Emily took a deep breath and continued. "David and we recently discovered something surprising about our families. David is related to my family in a way we didn't know. He's my cousin. This is completely unexpected, and it doesn't change the fact that we care for each other deeply, but we wanted to be honest with all of you." There was a stunned silence. Guests looked at each other in shock, processing the news. A few murmured questions, but Emily continued confidently. "We know this is unusual and may be confusing, but we want to handle this responsibly. Our families are aware, and we are working together to figure out the best way forward. We hope you can respect our honesty and trust that we are making thoughtful choices for everyone involved." Robert stepped forward. "I want to assure everyone that Emily and David's relationship has always been built on love, respect, and trust. This discovery is surprising, yes, but it doesn't change the values we cherish as a family. We want everyone to understand that this is a delicate situation, and we are handling it with care." David's father spoke next. "We ask for your understanding. This is a family matter that surfaced unexpectedly. We appreciate your patience and respect as we navigate it together." The room was quiet for a few moments. Then soft nods and murmurs of understanding spread. Emily noticed relief on a few faces, especially those of close friends and relatives who had come to support the couple. People began to whisper reassuringly to one another, offering words of encouragement. One of Emily's older cousins, Mary, stepped forward. "Emily, David, I admire your courage. Being honest in such a surprising situation is not easy. We will support you both, and we trust that your families will do the same." Emily smiled, tears forming in her eyes. "Thank you, Mary. That means so much to me." Robert glanced around, noticing the support from close friends and family. It reminded him that even the most shocking revelations could be met with understanding when approached with honesty. He felt pride in his daughter's courage and David's calm, reassuring presence. After several minutes of discussion, both families agreed to proceed with the wedding in a thoughtful and safe way. They decided that while Emily and David were cousins, there was no legal or ethical obstacle preventing their marriage, because they had been raised apart and had not been aware of their biological connection until now. It was a complex situation, but the families trusted in their love and integrity. The ceremony resumed, this time with a renewed sense of purpose and unity. Emily walked down the aisle once again, her dress flowing softly, her bouquet held tightly. Guests smiled warmly, offering quiet encouragement. The organ music swelled, and the atmosphere was filled with hope and reconciliation. David stood at the altar, waiting, his face calm and reassuring. He watched Emily approach, feeling grateful for the understanding and support of everyone present. He knew the day could have ended in chaos, but instead, it had become a story of courage, honesty, and love. When Emily reached the altar, she and David took each other's hands. Their eyes met, filled with trust and determination. The officiant smiled gently. "Today is a day of love, honesty, and family. Despite the unexpected surprises, we are here to celebrate the bond between these two people and the unity of their families. If you are ready, we may continue with the vows." Emily and David exchanged vows, speaking from the heart. They promised to love and support each other, to face challenges together, and to build a life full of honesty, respect, and compassion. Their voices were steady, even as emotion threatened to overwhelm them. As they said, "I do." The room erupted in soft applause and cheers. Tears glistened in the eyes of family members, not from sadness, but from admiration for the courage and strength displayed. It was a wedding unlike any other, marked by honesty and understanding rather than perfection. After the ceremony, guests moved to the reception hall, where laughter, music, and warmth filled the air. Emily and David shared their first dance, smiling through tears of relief and joy. Their families gathered around, celebrating not just the wedding, but the resilience and unity that had carried them through an unexpected challenge. Robert watched his daughter dance, his heart swelling with pride. He realized that life could bring shocking surprises, but love, honesty, and courage could transform those surprises into moments of strength and connection. He smiled, knowing that Emily and David's future would be filled with care, understanding, and unwavering support. As the night continued, stories were shared, laughter echoed, and everyone agreed that this wedding would be remembered for years, not just for the love of the couple, but for the way they faced the unexpected together. Guests admired the honesty, the courage, and the strength of the families involved. They saw that even the most shocking revelations could be met with grace and understanding. By the end of the evening, Emily and David stood on the balcony, looking out at the moonlit sky. They held hands, feeling the love of their families and the bond they had strengthened through the day's events. "We did it," Emily whispered softly. David smiled. "We did. And we proved that love can face anything, even the most surprising truths." They looked at each other, their hearts full of hope, knowing that the challenges they faced that day had made their connection stronger. The wedding had been unconventional, yes, but it had become a testament to honesty, courage, and the power of love to overcome shock and uncertainty. As the guests departed, families hugged, and well-wishers whispered their admiration. Emily and David remained together, ready to face the future with hearts full of trust and understanding. The unexpected revelation had threatened to ruin their day, but instead, it had created a story of resilience, compassion, and unity. And so, in the small town of Willow Creek, a wedding that began with shock ended with love, laughter, and the promise of a future built on honesty and courage. Emily and David had faced the impossible, and in doing so, they showed everyone around them that even the most surprising truths could lead to hope, connection, and a stronger bond than anyone had ever imagined.